5. Jungkook. I can't ignore what I feel for Jimin. Hey everyone, this is Jungkook. Before we start, I want to know where you're listening from. Drop your country in the comments below. Okay. I need to say this. I have been avoiding this for a long time, turning it into a joke in my head, turning it into a song, turning it into work, turning it into anything except what it really is. But I cannot ignore it anymore. I cannot pretend I do not feel this. I cannot keep acting like you are just another person in my life, just another member, just another friend, just another face on the same stage. I cannot ignore what I feel for you, and I need to say it. Even though saying it makes me exposed, even though saying it changes everything, at least inside me, even though I cannot say your name here, you know who you are. And if your chest just tightened when you heard that, if something in you went quiet for a second, if you had to inhale slowly without even realizing why, that is your first sign. If your eyes just drop to the floor or you suddenly cannot look directly at the screen, if your fingers feel restless for no clear reason, you know this is about you. Comment me below if this hits you in a way that feels too specific, too personal, too familiar. I need to know if you recognize yourself in these words. I need to know you are hearing this. I need to know you understand that. I am not talking to everyone, not today. I am talking to you. My voice would not be steady if I recorded this out loud. My hands would shake. Not because I am nervous to be on camera. I have done that my whole life. But because I am finally saying out loud what I have been carrying inside for too long. I am speaking directly to one person who already knows on some level that there is something here. Even though millions can watch, you will feel it differently than they do. Because this is for you, about you, to you. You will recognize yourself in this in a way nobody else can. Because you know our story. You know our moments. You know what exists in the spaces between us that nobody else sees. Not the members, not the staff, not the cameras, not ARMY, no one. I cannot say your name. I cannot describe you in a way that would make everyone point and whisper. I cannot give the details that would confirm to the world who you are. But I do not need to. Because you know. You know who you are. You know what I am talking about without me spelling it out. You know the exact memories that come up when you hear my voice in your mind. You know, the times I looked at you a second too long and then looked away like nothing happened. You know, the nights when our conversations went somewhere deeper than they were supposed to. You know, the shows where I stood too close and then pretended it was for the camera. You know, right now, as you would watch this, you would feel something. Maybe your heartbeat is not calm. Maybe your breathing is not normal. Maybe you want to pause this and walk away and come back later. Maybe your eyes are warming and you do not even know if it is sadness, relief, fear, or all of them at once. Those reactions are your confirmation. Those reactions are how you know this is about you. Every other person watching might wonder, might hope, might imagine, might dream. But you do not have to wonder. Deep down, you do not have to hope or imagine. In that quiet space inside where truth never lies. You know, I am talking about you. Have you ever known something before anyone said it out loud? Have you ever felt something so clearly that words felt unnecessary, almost annoying? Because they were slower than the thing you already knew. That is what this is. You do not need me to say your name to know. I am repeating it in my head as I say this. You do not need me to describe your face to know that face is in my mind right now more clearly than any camera footage. If you are watching this and you are not sure, let me help you. Ask yourself this, quietly, honestly. Do we have a connection that feels different from my connections with the others? When we talk, does it go somewhere deeper, softer, sometimes funnier, sometimes more serious than normal conversations? Do you feel that we understand each other in a way that is not easy to explain to others, even the members? Do you think about me more than you probably should? Do you ever wonder what I am thinking when I go quiet next to you? Have you noticed me noticing you? Have you felt something in the air when we stand too close backstage? When our shoulders brush in the hallway, when our knees touch under a table and neither of us moves first? Have you ever caught me staring and then watched me pretend I was looking at something else? Have you ever written something to me, even something simple, and then erased it? Have you ever typed a message, changed it, deleted it, rewritten it, because you were trying to say something without saying too much? Have you ever posted a comment or a caption and then wondered if I would notice the hidden meaning, if I would understand the way only I could? Have you ever wondered if I was talking to you specifically when I said certain things on a live, even though I said you guys or everyone? Have you replayed a moment between us in the practice room, in a hotel, in the van, in a dressing room, thinking, was that normal or was there something more there? If you are nodding in your mind right now, if your body feels tense, because you know exactly what I'm referring to without me naming it, then it might be you. But honestly, you do not need these questions, because if it really is you, you already know. Your body already told you when you read the title. Your heart already reacted the moment I said, I cannot ignore what I feel. Your thoughts already jumped to one specific memory before I even brought it up. That inner knowing you try to push down, that is your answer. I cannot tell everyone about the moment I realized something had changed. That specific instant when I looked at you and my mind said, oh no, oh yes, this is different now. But you know that moment. You might not know it was that moment for me, but it sits inside your memories. A small quiet scene that suddenly feels huge when I talk like this. I cannot describe the exact conversation that made me see you differently. That one thing you said that revealed another side of you. Something fragile, something strong, something honest that you do not always show. The moment your words hit me and I thought, I need to protect this person. I need to stay close to them. I cannot treat them like everyone else. But you remember that talk, you know, which night it was, where we were sitting, what the room felt like. I cannot share the detail about you that captivates me the most. The thing that pulls me back to you again and again. Maybe it is the way you laugh when you think nobody is watching. Maybe it is the way your eyes look when you are listening to someone else with your whole soul. Maybe it is how you pretend to be fine for everyone, but let yourself crumble only in front of a few. Maybe it is how you move when music starts, the way your body and your emotions become the same language. You know what it is. You know your own light, even if you hide it. That is what draws me to you. And I cannot explain the moment when I almost spoke, when the words almost came out. When we were close enough and the silence was heavy enough and my chest was loud enough that I almost said it. When my lips moved, but I swallowed everything because I was scared. You might remember that moment too. Maybe you felt the air change. Maybe you wondered if I was about to say something that would make everything different. Maybe you sensed something even though I stayed quiet. You know, all of this, even the things I am not describing. Because you were there. You felt it, even if you never named it. There is something between us that does not need explanation to exist. It is there whether we talk about it or not. I feel something I never expected to feel like this. Something I tried to control, tried to shrink, tried to bury under schedules and flights and choreo and recordings and content and jokes and fan service. Something I told myself could not be real because it would be inconvenient, risky, messy. But it grew anyway. It grew when we trained together. It grew when we argued and then laughed again. It grew on stage when our eyes met in the middle of a song and I forgot there were thousands of people watching. It grew in hotel rooms when we were too tired to talk but somehow still ended up side by side. I feel drawn to you in a way that is hard to explain. It is not just attraction, even though that exists too, whether I admit it or not. It is something deeper. Something about who you are when the cameras are off, when the makeup is gone, when the noise is muted. Something about your mind, the way it overthinks and cares and twists and then softens. Something about your heart, the way it holds everyone's pain like it is your job to heal all of us. Something about the way you exist in the world that makes me want to be near you, to learn you, to understand you, to protect you, to be someone you can lean on without hesitation. I feel more alive when I am around you. More present, more awake, more honest. Like there is a version of me that only breathes fully when you are close. Like you bring out a courage in me that I do not have when I am alone. Like I am closer to whoever I am supposed to become whenever we share the same space. Do you know that feeling? When someone's presence makes reality feel sharper, more real, more colorful. That is what you are to me. I feel seen by you in a way. I rarely feel seen, not as Jungkook of BTS, or as Golden Maknae, or as a stage persona, but as the messy, questioning, tired, stubborn, silly, insecure person underneath all of that. With you, I do not always have to be impressive. I do not have to be perfect. I do not have to be the strongest or the funniest. I can be quiet. I can be confused. I can be soft. And you still look at me like I am enough. That kind of understanding is addictive. It is rare. I do not want to lose it. I feel curious about you all the time. About your thoughts, your fears, your dreams, the things you never say in interviews, the worries you hide behind practice, the hopes you bury in jokes. I want to ask, what keeps you up at night? What memories you wish you could rewrite? What future you secretly want, even if you are scared to say it? I want to know how you see me, not as the world sees me, but as the person who has shared so many lifetimes in one career with me. I feel protective of you. Not in a controlling way, not in a you belong to me way, but in a way that makes your pain feel personal. When you are hurting, it burns in my chest. When you are struggling, my whole day feels wrong. When you are quiet in a way that is not your usual quiet, I cannot focus until I know why. When you smile genuinely, when you laugh without holding back, there is a calm relief inside me, like the world is finally balanced again. The others see pieces of this. Namjoon can sense when something is off between us. His eyes are too sharp. Jin makes jokes about us being too close sometimes and then brushes it off with a laugh, but I can feel the question behind his words. Yoongijungkook watches more than he speaks. He probably understands more than he lets on. Hobi-hyung teases and ships, and then hugs both of us a little tighter when he thinks we are tired. Taehyung throws jokes like confetti, asking, "What are you two hiding?" and then goes back to his own world, but sometimes his gaze lingers. They know there is something unique here. They just do not know what to call it. I feel scared, because feeling this way gives you so much power over me. It makes me vulnerable in a way that no stage, no live, no interview ever has. It means I care about your response in a way that could break me. It means I am risking something real, something that has cost years of our lives to build this bond, this team, this family. It means my heart is standing somewhere unprotected, and I am asking you not to hurt it, even though I cannot control what you do. That is terrifying. But staying silent has started to feel more terrifying than speaking. Pretending I feel nothing has started to feel like lying to myself, lying to you, lying to whatever this thing is between us. Each day I try to bury it, I feel like I am pushing down something honest and brave inside me. Something that has always wanted to live in truth. I feel hope too. Quiet, stubborn hope. Hope that maybe you feel something as well. Hope that maybe I am not the only one who has noticed the shift, the way our energy has changed over the years. Hope that maybe when you think about the future, you see me standing close, not just as a colleague or a friend, but as something else you do not know how to name yet. Hope that maybe you have been waiting for me to say something like this, to admit what we both have been dancing around. You are feeling something right now, I know you are. If this is really about you, if you really are the person I am speaking to, then these words are not just noise. They are hitting something deep. Maybe it shocks you, maybe it excites you, Maybe it scares you. Maybe you feel relief, like you are finally hearing something your heart already knew. Maybe a small voice inside you is whispering, I knew it. I knew it. Whatever you feel right now, feel it. Do not run away from it. Do not cover it with jokes or work or distractions. Let it speak. Let it tell you what you already know deep down. I am saying this now because I cannot keep it inside anymore. Because the weight of not saying it has become heavier than the risk of saying it. Because every day I stay silent, it feels like I am hiding from my own feelings, losing time we could spend being honest with each other, even if honesty complicates everything. I am saying this because life is too short, too fragile, too unpredictable to leave something this important buried under fear. I am saying this because you deserve to know. You deserve to know how important you are to me. That you are not just someone I work with, not just someone I share a stage with, not just someone who appears next to me in clips and photos. You are someone who has changed me. Someone whose existence has shaped the way I see myself, the way I love, the way I trust, the way I dream. And I am saying this because I need to know. I need to know if you feel it too. If this connection is something only I built in my head, or if it is real, living quietly inside you as well. If when I look at you, something inside you looks back. If when I imagine a future where we are still side by side, your heart relaxes instead of tensing. I want to be honest. I want to be brave. I want to choose truth over safety, even just this once. So I am asking you, not publicly, not in front of everyone, but in the only way I know how right now, recognize yourself in these words. Trust that inner knowing that tells you, I am speaking to you. Do not dismiss it because it feels scary. Do not bury it because it feels complicated. You know how to reach me in a way only you can. Not through comments, not through guessing games, but through the quiet channels that already exist between us. I am asking you to respond there, to show me that you heard me, to let me know whether this thing I feel is something we share or something I need to release. And to everyone else watching who realizes this is not about them, I know it might feel strange. I know you might be curious. You might be imagining who I am talking about, trying to decode every hint. But there are some connections that belong in the quiet, that are meant to be held gently, not spread out on a table for the world to examine. This is one of those. Still, maybe hearing this makes you think of someone in your own life, someone you think about too often, someone you care about more than you admit, someone you have never been fully honest with because you were afraid of changing everything. If that is you, maybe this is your sign. Maybe it is your time to be brave, to be honest, to say what you feel before life pulls you in different directions and the chance slips away. I cannot ignore what I feel for you anymore. I have tried. I have told myself all the logical reasons why this is messy, why the timing is wrong, why the world would not understand, why it would be safer to stay quiet, to stay in the roles everyone expects from us. But feelings do not care about logic. They do not wait for perfect timing. They do not always choose the easy path. What I feel for you is real. It is strong. It is stubborn. It is there when we are working and when we are resting, when we are together and when we are not. It shows up in the way my mood changes when you walk into a room. It shows up in the way I listen for your voice, even in loud places. It shows up in the way my eyes find you on stage without me trying. It matters. You deserve to know that you are in my thoughts more than you realize. That when I think about my life, my music, my future, I see you in those images. You are not an extra. You are not background. You are central. Even if I never say it out loud, you have become important to me in a way I never planned, in a way I tried to deny, in a way I cannot ignore anymore. So this is me not ignoring it. This is me being honest as I can be in this format, in this moment. This is me taking the risk of saying something that could change everything or nothing. This is me acknowledging that I am scared, but I still choose to speak. Whatever happens next, at least I will know I did not hide from my own feelings forever. At least I will know I tried to honor what is true inside me. At least I will know I gave you the chance to know, to decide, to respond. So here's what I need to ask you. Quietly, simply, honestly, do you feel it too? There is something else I need to admit, and it has been sitting in my chest for years, growing heavier every time I pretended not to notice it. It did not start suddenly. It did not fall out of the sky one random day. It grew slowly, quietly, in the middle of rehearsals, inside jokes, shared exhaustion, and all those small moments that nobody pays attention to until they realize their whole life has been built on top of them. When I look back now, I can see the trail clearly. At the time, I only felt confusion. Do you remember the early days when we were still figuring out who we were, not just as artists, but as people? Back then, everything was loud. The schedules, the expectations, the fear of failing. We were all trying to survive, trying to prove ourselves, trying to be worthy of this chance. Namjoon was carrying so much responsibility that sometimes I could see it bending his shoulders even when he smiled. Jin was keeping us laughing, feeding us, scolding us when we were being idiots. Yoongijungkook was quiet in the corner, making music that held all the things he couldn't say. Hobi was light and fire at the same time, pushing us to move sharper, bigger, better. Taehyung was strange and free, dragging color into rooms that felt gray. And you were there like gravity I didn't recognize yet. At first, I thought the way I noticed you was normal. Of course I would notice you. We lived together, practiced together, ate together, complained together. Of course I would know your habits, your moods, your little quirks. Of course I would be aware when you were tired or upset or too quiet. That's what family does, right? That's what members do. I told myself that over and over again. But there were moments even back then that did not feel like just member things. Moments when the air between us shifted, turned thicker, warmer, harder to breathe. Moments when the rest of the room faded and only you stayed in focus. Like the first time I saw you cry alone. Not on camera, not in front of everyone, not as part of a performance or a joke, but really cry. You tried to hide it, turning your face away, wiping your eyes quickly, pretending it was nothing. I remember standing there, frozen, feeling this sharp, unfamiliar pain in my chest. It wasn't just sympathy. It wasn't just concern. It was something deeper, something that said, I can't stand seeing you like this. I would do anything to fix it. Do you remember that night? Do you remember how I hovered awkwardly, not sure if I should go to you or leave you alone? Do you remember how I eventually sat down next to you, not saying much, just being there, staring at the floor, sharing the silence until your breathing slowed? I told myself that was just what a good friend does, just what a dongzang does, just what someone who cares does. I didn't know yet that it was the beginning of something I would not be able to control. Have you ever had someone's mood change your whole day? Like, if they're bright, the world feels lighter, and if they're dark, the world feels heavier? That's what started happening with you. At first, I didn't notice the pattern. I just thought I was tired or stressed or happy randomly. But then I realized it followed you. When you were okay, I found it easier to breathe. When you weren't, everything felt wrong. There were small things too. The way I started waiting for your reactions without realizing it. I would say something in the group, and even if everyone laughed, I'd check your face first. If you smiled, it felt like winning. If you didn't, something inside me sank, and I'd spend the next hour wondering why. Did I say something wrong? Did I upset you? Did you not hear me? It sounds dramatic, but it's the truth. Your opinion began to matter more than it should have, more than I could admit, even to myself. The others saw pieces of this without understanding. Hyung would tease me sometimes. Why do you always look over there when you talk? And I would laugh it off, pretending I didn't know what he meant. Hyung would make jokes about us being too close and then shrug it away as fan service. Yoongijungkook would watch quietly, his eyes lingering like he was reading a story we hadn't written yet. Hyung, with his bright energy, would sometimes push us together on purpose. For content, for laughs, but there was something else in his expression on certain days. A softness, like he knew this wasn't just for show. Taehyung, with his usual chaotic honesty, would say things like, "You two act like an old married couple," and then disappear into his own world, leaving those words hanging in the air like a fire alarm no one turned off. Did you notice how I would always find an excuse to sit next to you? At the table, on the couch, in the car? Did you notice how our shoulders would touch and I wouldn't move away, even when there was space? Did you notice how I sometimes tilted my body towards you without realizing it, how my knees would point in your direction? These sound like small details, but you know I am hyper aware of my body on stage. I know where I am, where everyone is, all the time. If I kept drifting closer to you, even off stage, do you really think that was an accident? I started measuring time by you. When would I see you next? How long until the next schedule together? How long until the next tour, the next concert, the next night where the adrenaline after the show would have us sitting in some hotel room, talking about everything and nothing? I started noticing when you weren't around more than when you were. When you were absent from a room, it felt like something was missing. When you walked in, it felt like something clicked back into place. Have you ever realized you were waiting for a specific laugh? Not just any laugh, but that laugh. The one that starts small and then breaks open. The one that makes your eyes disappear. The one that takes over your whole body. Have you ever felt proud just because you were the one who caused it? I did. I do. But for a long time, I refused to name any of this. I told myself it was closeness. I told myself it was natural. We are family, after all. We've been through too much together. Of course I would feel strongly about you. Of course I would be protective. Of course I would worry. I clung to those explanations like armor. Because if I peeled them away, if I looked too closely at what was underneath, I was scared of what I would find. And then there were the moments that broke the illusion of normal completely. The jealousy. I didn't want to call it that, but that's what it was. The way my chest tightened when you were laughing a little too freely with someone else. The way I noticed your energy shifting when you were spending more time with another member, or a staff, or anyone who made you smile in that special way. The way I watched from the side, telling myself I had no right to feel this way, and yet feeling it anyway. Do you remember the times you were close with Taehyung and I got quieter without explaining why? Do you remember the days when you and Hyung would dance and I stood there watching, joking around, but also feeling something sharp in my ribs? Do you remember when you were texting someone late at night and I kept glancing over? Not because I wanted to invade your privacy, but because my mind wouldn't stop asking, who is making you smile like that? I hated that feeling. I hated how irrational it made me. I had no claim over you. You were free to love whoever you wanted, to laugh with whoever you wanted, to lean on whoever you wanted. I knew that, but knowing something doesn't stop you from feeling the opposite, does it? Have you ever been completely aware that you have no right to be jealous, and yet your heart tightens anyway? I tried to discipline myself out of it. I told myself to focus on work, on improving, on being better at everything I could control. I poured myself into singing, dancing, performances, content, anything that could keep my mind busy. But emotions don't disappear just because you drown them in practice. If anything, they sink deeper and come back stronger when everything gets quiet. There were nights, especially during tours, when we'd finish a show, stand in a circle listen to Namjoon speak about how grateful he was, how grateful we all were, and I would look around at everyone feeling this overwhelming love for the group, for the journey, for what we'd built together. And then my eyes would land on you and something different would swell inside my chest. The love for the group is wide, expansive, like a sky. The love I feel for you is focused, intense, like a beam of light that hits one spot and burns there. I didn't want to admit that difference, but I felt it. After certain performances where our choreography brought us face to face, too close, too synced, I would go back to the dressing room with my heart racing for reasons that had nothing to do with stamina. I knew every move. I knew every cue. But there were times when an accidental touch, a brush of fingers, a hand on my shoulder, a shared look through sweat and lights would send my mind somewhere it didn't want to go, somewhere it wasn't supposed to go. Do you remember that one stage where we almost missed a beat because we were looking at each other instead of the audience? The fans saw it as a cute moment, a funny slip, something to meme and replay. They didn't know that when our eyes met, the world went quiet for a second. At least mine did. Did yours? Or was that just me? All of this built slowly into a pressure I couldn't release. I would joke with you, hug you, tease you, argue with you, all while acting like my heart wasn't doing something strange in my chest every time you were near. I became good at hiding it even from myself. I told myself I was being dramatic, that it was just intense friendship, just deep connection. After all, we went through everything together. Debut, struggles, criticism, misunderstanding, success, the fear of losing it all, the fear of losing each other. Emotion is bound to get tangled in all of that, right? But somewhere along the way, something changed. It stopped feeling like just tangled emotion and began feeling like a separate truth. A truth that kept knocking on the door of my mind saying, "Call me by my real name." I tried to ignore it. I tried to lock the door, but the knocking never stopped. The more I learned about you, the more I couldn't go back to seeing you as just anything. I saw how you carried the members' pain, how you would be the one to quietly sit next to someone who was struggling, how you would listen more than you spoke. I saw how you beat yourself up over small mistakes, how you would replay them in your mind long after everyone else forgot. I saw how deeply you loved ARMY, the weight you put on yourself to not disappoint them. I saw your kindness, your insecurity, your strength, your silliness, your softness. Do you really think I could experience all of that and stay unaffected? The truth is, the more time passed, the more losing you became my biggest fear. Not losing you as a member, not losing you as a colleague, but losing your closeness. Losing the way you look at me when we are alone. Losing the way you say my name when nobody is listening. Losing the comfort of knowing that no matter how crazy the world gets, there is this one person who understands me in ways I don't fully understand myself. That fear began to control me in quiet ways. I would stop myself from saying certain things because I was scared of ruining what we already had. I would hold back words that were too honest, too raw, too revealing. I would tell myself, if you say this out loud, you might break something you can never fix. So I stayed in the safe zone. I made jokes. I turned deep feelings into light moments. I pretended the intensity was just part of our dynamic, nothing more. But you know how it feels when you're on stage and you're holding a note that's too powerful to stay contained? At some point, it has to resolve. It has to land somewhere. That's what these feelings have been like. Always held, never resolved. Always building, never released. I wonder if you ever felt lonely in a room full of people, even when we were all there. I wonder if you ever wished someone would say out loud what you were feeling, but were too scared to admit. I wonder if you ever looked at me and thought, is he feeling this too, or am I imagining it? I wonder if you ever tried to talk yourself out of your own heart. I know I did. I thought about how the others might react if they knew the full truth. Would they be supportive? Would they be worried? Would they be scared of what it would mean for the group, for our image, for our lives? I imagine Namjoon sitting me down, telling me gently that I needed to think this through carefully. I imagine Jin trying to protect both of us with his usual mix of humor and seriousness. I imagine yoongijungkook listening quietly, then saying a few heavy words that cut to the core. I imagine Hyung hugging us until we couldn't breathe, saying, "Whatever it is, we'll get through it." I imagine Taehyung making a joke and then looking at us with those eyes that see more than they say. But before any of that could ever happen, I had to do one thing. Admit this to you. To the only person whose answer truly matters in this particular story. Do you feel it too? Do you feel that shift when our eyes meet and neither of us looks away as fast as we should? Do you feel the heaviness in the silence when we're alone and there's nothing left to hide behind? No cameras, no staff, no excuses. Do you feel the way our energy changes when we stand next to each other? How the space between us feels charged, even if we don't touch? I don't expect you to have all the answers. I don't have them either. I don't know what this means for the future, for us, for everything we've built with the others and with ARMY. I don't know how complicated it could become. I don't know how messy it might get. I don't know if we're ready for any of that. What I do know is this: ignoring it hasn't made it go away. Hiding from it hasn't made it any less real. Pretending I don't feel this hasn't protected me, it's just made me feel more and more dishonest with myself and with you. Maybe what I'm asking for right now isn't a decision or a promise or a plan. Maybe what I'm asking for is something simpler, something smaller, but still huge: honesty. Your truth. I need to know if when I say, "I can't ignore what I feel anymore," a part of you whispers, "Me too," or if your chest goes cold instead. Whatever the answer is, I will respect it. If this is one-sided, if this is just my heart building castles out of moments you saw as ordinary, then I will learn how to gently take those castles apart. I will learn how to love you in a way that doesn't cross the lines you need. I will still protect you. I will still care for you. I will still stand beside you on every stage, giving everything we have to the music and to the people who love us. But if it is not one-sided, if some part of you has been waiting for this, if some part of you has been trying just as hard to hide, then maybe there is a different path we haven't let ourselves see yet. A path we can walk slowly, carefully, quietly, together. Not defined by anyone else's expectations, not controlled by fear, but guided by honesty and mutual respect. You don't have to answer in front of anyone. You don't have to rush. You don't have to have the perfect words. You just have to be real. With yourself first, with me second. You know how to reach me. You know the language only we use when we're alone. You know the look that says more than the caption. You know the silence that isn't empty. When you're ready, in whatever way feels safest, tell me your truth. Until then, I will keep doing what I have always done. Standing beside you, singing with you, laughing with you, teasing you, protecting you, loving you in the ways I'm allowed to show. But now, at least one thing is different, you know that beneath all of that, there is this unshakable reality. I can't ignore what I feel for you anymore. There's something I haven't told you about the way all of this has been playing out inside my head. It's not just a straight line of, I feel this and I'm scared. It's more like a loop of moments, looping of what ifs, looping of futures that could happen and futures I'm terrified of. I keep replaying everything over and over, as if somehow I can edit reality the way we edit content, cutting out the risks, smoothing over the parts where my heart shows too clearly. But life doesn't work like that, does it? You can't trim feelings the way you trim video. Sometimes the loop starts with something small, like the way you fall asleep in cars. Head against the window, lips parted just a little, expression finally calm after a long day of pretending you're okay. I've watched you like that more times than I can count. The others scroll on their phones, talk, nap, listen to music. I do those things too, but then my eyes always wander back to you. Do you know how soft you look when the world isn't demanding anything from you? It makes me want to protect every version of you that nobody else sees. The quiet one, the tired one, the one that doesn't feel like performing. Sometimes the loop starts with you laughing with one of the others. Maybe it's Taehyung saying something ridiculous and you throwing your head back. Maybe it's Hobi-hyung making you dance some silly choreo in the practice room. Maybe it's Jin-hyung feeding you something and teasing you like you're a child. Everyone sees those moments, they love them, they make edits and compilations and threads about them, and I love them too. I love seeing you happy. But there's this split second when I'm watching you from a little distance, where a thought appears that I'm ashamed of. I wish that laugh was for me right now. Then there are the heavier loops, the ones that start with arguments. We don't fight a lot, not really, but we have our moments, disagreements, misunderstandings, times when the pressure is too high and we snap at each other because it feels safer than screaming at the world. Have you noticed how those fights hit me harder than they should? When I argue with someone else, I can cool down and move on. When I argue with you, it sticks. Even if we resolve it, even if we hug it out. Some part of me keeps replaying it, wondering if I hurt you, if I made you doubt how much I care, if I created a crack that will widen over time. Do you remember that one fight in the practice room? Late, after everyone else left except a few of us, we were tired. We were stressed about the performance. You were frustrated, I was frustrated, and we collided. Words came out sharper than we meant. I watched your face fall in that way. It does when you're disappointed in yourself and in me at the same time. I wanted to take everything back immediately, but my pride wouldn't let me. We finished the rehearsal, but the whole time I felt sick, like I'd broken something I didn't know how to fix. That night, lying in my bed in the dark, I stared at the ceiling and thought, how did I let myself be the one to hurt you like that? The next morning, when you smiled at me and acted like everything was normal, I felt relief and guilt at the same time. Relief because I hadn't lost you. Guilt because I knew there was a layer under that smile, a layer that remembered every word I said. And yet, you chose to stay close. You always do. Do you know how much that means to me? Namjoon-hyung once told me something that keeps echoing in my mind. He said, sometimes the scariest thing isn't not knowing how someone feels. It's knowing exactly how you feel and being terrified of what that means. I laughed when he said it, pretended I didn't understand, but I did. I understood too well, because that's where I've been living for a long time now. In the space between knowing and denying, when we film content together, there's always this extra layer for me. Fans will say, oh, that's cute. Or, they have such great chemistry. And they'll clip the moments where we stand too close, where we touch, where our eyes meet for too long. They turn it into jokes, ships, fantasies, stories. Sometimes it makes me smile because they're picking up on something real, even if they don't know the whole story. Sometimes it makes me want to hide, because what they're joking about is something I'm actually struggling with. There have been times when I toned myself down on purpose because of that. Times when I stopped myself from being too obvious, too affectionate, too present next to you, because I didn't want to feed something I wasn't ready to face. I'd stand a little farther away. I'd hold back a hug. I'd make a joke instead of letting a soft moment breathe. And every time I did, it felt like betraying myself just a little. Betraying you, too. Because I wasn't pulling away to protect you from harm. I was pulling away to protect myself from my own fear. I wonder if you noticed that. The days when I seem more distant, more focused on work, more occupied with something else. Did you ever think, did I do something wrong? If you did, I'm sorry. You didn't. You were just being you. I was the one who didn't know how to handle being me around you. The others have their own relationships with you, their own bonds, their own dynamics. I love seeing that. I really do. It reminds me that you are loved and supported by so many people, not just me. That if I faltered, you wouldn't be alone. That if I disappeared somehow, there would still be people who make you laugh, who hold you when you cry, who tell you when you're being too hard on yourself. That should make me feel comforted. And it does most of the time. But sometimes in the quieter moments, I feel this selfish little ache. I want to be the one you go to first. Do you know how many times I've almost told you there were hotel nights when we sat on the floor, backs against the bed, talking about everything: family, fear, future, the past we never really processed. The room would get quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't feel heavy but full, like something important is about to happen. I would look at you, see the tired honesty in your eyes, and the words would gather in my throat. There's something I need to tell you. And then I'd swallow them, terrified of what would happen if they came out. There were long flights where everyone was sleeping and the cabin was dim and cold, and you'd be next to me, wrapped in a blanket, head tipped to the side. I'd put my headphones in, but I wouldn't play anything. I'd just listen to the silence and imagine myself whispering the truth to you, right there, between the hum of the plane and the darkness outside. I can't ignore what I feel for you anymore. It sounded so simple in my head, so honest, and yet I never said it. I stared straight ahead, pretending to watch something on the screen, while my heart argued with my fear. Fear won every time. Sometimes the loop isn't about the past or the present at all. It's about the future. I think about the day when things might be different. When we're older, when the schedules slow down, when the world moves on to new faces, new groups, new songs. When we're not Jungkook and you on stage anymore, but just two people with a history that nobody really understands except us and the members. I wonder where you'll be, who you'll be with, who you'll lean on, who you'll love. I know the world expects certain things from us: marriage, families, normal lives eventually. I've thought a lot about that, about what it means to choose a life that makes sense to others versus a life that makes sense to your heart. I've imagined myself doing what's expected, smiling in photos, saying all the right things, living inside a story that looks perfect from the outside. And then I imagine the quiet moments in that life when the cameras are off, when everyone's asleep, when it's just me and my thoughts. Would I regret not being honest with you while I had the chance? Would I lie there and think, what if I had told you? Have you ever been haunted by a what if that hasn't even happened yet? That's what this feels like. I am haunted by the future I might lose if I never give us a chance to be real. Even if us never becomes anything more than what we are now, I need to know that I didn't run away from the truth, that I didn't choose fear over honesty. Sometimes I talk about you indirectly with the members. I don't say everything, of course, but in small ways I let pieces slip out. When Namjoon asks who I lean on the most, your name is always right there on my tongue. When Yoongijungkook talks about people who ground him, I think of you. When Jinhyung says we should cherish the people who make us feel safe, I know exactly who he's talking about in my life. When Hobi-hyung says we're lucky to have each other, I silently add, especially you. When Taehyung rambles about soulmates in weird ways, I laugh. But some part of me wonders if maybe he's not as wrong as he sounds. The truth is, you are woven into everything for me now. Into the music, the memories, the meaning of this journey. When I think about our first stages, you're there. When I think about the hardest days, you're there. When I think about the moments that healed me, the laughs that pulled me out of dark places, the hands that steadied me when I was losing my balance, it's your face that keeps appearing. And all of this is why I finally reached the point where staying silent felt like a kind of betrayal. Betrayal of my own heart, betrayal of the trust between us, betrayal of the truth that has been quietly living between our conversations and our shared looks for years. I don't know what you're thinking as you hear all this. Maybe you're nodding painfully because you felt it too and were too scared to look it in the eyes. Maybe you're shocked because you always saw our bond as deep but not like this. Maybe you're somewhere in between, tugged in two directions. Part of you saying, yes, I know. And another part saying, this is too much, too complicated, too dangerous. Whatever you feel, I need you to understand something. I am not saying all of this to pressure you. I am not putting this on you like a weight you have to carry alone. I am not asking you to fix anything, define anything, choose anything right now. I am simply opening the door that has been closed for too long inside me. What we do with that open door, that's something we figure out together if you want to. If this is not what you feel, if your heart does not echo mine, that's okay too. It will hurt. I won't pretend it won't, but I will survive it. I have survived worse things than my own emotions, and I will survive this too. I will grieve quietly, adjust quietly, find a way to love you in a shape that doesn't cross your boundaries. I won't punish you for your truth. I won't guilt you. I won't pull away out of pride. I will learn how to hold this feeling in a different way. One that doesn't push you, but still honors the fact that you changed my life. But if there is a part of you, even a small one, that hears this and thinks, I've been waiting for you to say it, then maybe this is the beginning of something else. Something we don't have to name yet. Something that can exist quietly between us, built on honesty, respect, and care. Not fantasy, not delusion, not chaos. You don't owe me an answer today. You don't owe me perfect words. You don't owe me some big cinematic moment. You only owe me one thing, and I say this with as much gentleness as I can. Your truth, whatever it is. And when you're ready, when you've sat with your heart long enough to hear what it's really saying under all the fear, all the expectations, all the noise, you know how to find me. You always have. There's another layer to all of this that I've been trying not to look at directly, because every time I do, it feels like staring into a mirror that's a little too honest. It's not just about you and me in a vacuum. If it were that simple, just two people, two hearts, one truth, I think I would have spoken up a long time ago. But our lives have never been simple. We don't exist in private like normal people. Everything we do leaves an echo. Every glance becomes a screenshot. Every touch becomes a theory. Every moment becomes content. Sometimes I wonder how different things would be if we weren't us. If we weren't part of this group that has become something bigger than we ever imagined. If there weren't millions of eyes on everything, millions of hearts attached to every step, every smile, every tear. Our story is not just ours. It belongs to ARMY in a way too. They watched us grow, fight, break, heal, succeed, fail, laugh, cry. They see so much, and yet there's still a part of our truth they could never fully understand. You know how ARMY is. They notice everything. They notice when someone is a little too quiet. They notice when two people stand closer than usual. They notice when a hand lingers too long, when a look lasts a second more than it should. They've made entire universes out of our smallest interactions. Sometimes I watch their edits, their theories, their threads, and I feel exposed and hidden at the same time. Exposed, because they see a fraction of what I feel. Hidden, because they still don't know the whole picture. I see the clips of us replayed with slow music and subtitles. I see the comments. Look at the way he looks at him. There's something here. You can't fake that kind of affection. Part of me smiles because they're right about one thing. You can't fake this. Not the way my body relaxes when you're near. Not the way my eyes search for you without me telling them to. Not the way my mood lifts when you laugh. Those things are real. They always have been. But another part of me feels this pang of fear. Because if they can see even a little of what's going on inside me, what happens if they ever see all of it? What happens if one day I drop the mask completely and say, yes, you're right. I love him in a way that scares me? Will they understand? Will they feel betrayed? Will they leave? Will they support us? I don't know. And that uncertainty is a heavy thing to carry. Jungkook has always been the one to talk about responsibility, about how our choices ripple through other people's lives. And he's right. When we choose a song, it becomes someone's healing. When we say something in an interview, it becomes someone's comfort. When we show up on stage, it becomes someone's reason to keep going. That responsibility is beautiful and terrifying at once. So, what does it mean if I choose to be honest about this, about you, about us, about the feelings I can't ignore anymore? Is that selfish? Is it wrong to want something for ourselves when so many people have built their own emotions around us? Or is it more selfish to live a lie, to keep pretending nothing is happening while something is slowly killing and reshaping me inside? I think about ARMY a lot when it comes to this, because I know them not individually, but as a heartbeat, as a wave, as an energy that has carried us through the darkest times. They say they want us to be happy, truly happy, even if that happiness doesn't fit the fantasy they've built. I want to believe them. I want to believe that if they knew how much you mean to me, how deeply you've been woven into my sense of self, they wouldn't turn away. I remember fan signs where people would ask about us playfully, about our dynamic, our closeness. I'd laugh, answer lightly, throw in a joke. We're just close, I'd say. We're like family. And that was true, but it wasn't the whole truth. I remember seeing certain questions and feeling my heart jump, not because they knew, but because they were closer than they realized. There are fans who say, they're just like brothers. There are others who say, no, it's more. I used to feel cornered by those conversations. Now I see them as a reflection of the confusion inside me. Even I didn't know where to draw the line. Where does family end and something else begin? When you've shared almost every moment of your life with the same people for so long, the members feel it too, in their own way. Our closeness has never been ordinary. This isn't a normal workplace. This isn't just a team. This is a lifeline we grabbed onto when we were kids and never let go of. That bond is why I can't talk about you without talking about them. Because I didn't fall in love with you in isolation. It happened in the middle of all of us, together, in dorms and studios, on stages and airplanes, in vans and green rooms. Yoongijungkook, with his quiet wisdom, once said something like, love and gratitude and affection, these things don't stay in neat boxes. They spill over, they mix. Maybe that's part of what happened here. Maybe my gratitude for you, my admiration for you, my affection for you, all mixed and spilled into something deeper. Something with a different color, a different temperature. Something I kept trying to pour back into the friend or member box, even though it no longer fit. Taehyung, with his endless warmth, has hugged me through more silent breakdowns than anyone knows. When I was scared of my own thoughts, scared of the life we were living, scared of not being enough, he would hold me and say, you are loved, you have us. I wonder what he would say if he knew that the person my heart cries out for first is you, not instead of them, but in a different way. Jinhyung, with his big brother energy, always says, don't overcomplicate it. If you love someone, just love them. That's it. Simple. But it's not simple when the world is watching. When the someone you love is standing next to you on stage, sharing your microphones, your spotlight, your pressure. When that someone is a man, when that someone is Jimin. Yes, I need to say it at least once, plainly. Even if the world thinks it's just metaphor or fiction or content. I am talking about you, Jimin. I know the title would give it away anyway. I know people will argue about what's real and what's not. They always do. But when you hear this, if you hear this, there will be no doubt in your heart who I mean. There never really has been, has there? I think about how many times you have saved me without knowing. The nights when my mind wouldn't stop attacking me. When I thought I wasn't good enough. When I felt like a burden. When the pressure of being Jungkook felt heavier than my own body. You don't always say a lot in those moments. Sometimes you just sit down next to me, shoulder against mine, existing in the same space. Sometimes you say, it's okay. in that small, gentle voice. And somehow, those two words hold my entire world together. You have this way of seeing through me. Through the jokes, through the muscles, through the tattoos, through the confidence, you see the boy who still doubts himself. The boy who still worries he'll mess everything up. The boy who still wants to hold on to the people he loves so tightly that they never leave. And instead of judging him, you love him. In your own way, I know you love me. That's not what I'm questioning. I've always known that in some shape. The question that keeps me awake is, what kind of love is it? Is it the same shape as mine? Is it the same intensity? Is it the same impossible, undeniable, terrifying thing that makes it hard to breathe sometimes when we're alone together? Or is it something gentler, safer, more defined, something that won't cross the invisible lines we've never talked about? Sometimes I watch you interact with ARMY and I feel proud beyond words. The way you speak to them, the way you comfort them, the way you share your own pain so they don't feel alone in theirs. I think this is the person I know in private. This is the heart I fell in love with. And then I wonder, do they see it too? Do they see how easy it would be for anyone to fall for you? Maybe that's part of why I'm so scared. Because if I feel this intensely about you, how many other people do too? How many lives have you touched in a way that feels personal? And if one day you choose someone, if one day your heart rests on one person in particular, will it be me? Or will I just be one more story in your long list of relationships that were deep, important, but not that? I think about my family and all of this. My parents, my brother, they love you. That's not a secret. They've watched you take care of me, support me, laugh with me, cry with me. They've seen how close we are. Would they be surprised if they knew the full truth? Would they say, we already knew, or would they need time to process it? My mother has always wanted me to be happy, truly happy, even if that happiness doesn't match the picture she once had in her mind. She has also worried about me, about the loneliness that comes with this life. I can already hear her voice in my head. As long as you are loved, and as long as you are loving with a good heart, that's what matters. She's stronger than people know. I think she would try very hard to understand. My father, quieter, more careful with his words, might take longer to adjust. But he has seen what you've done for me. He has seen the way I look at you when I think nobody is watching. Parents notice things their children think they've hidden. Maybe he already knows more than I give him credit for. And then there's the company, the industry, the world we exist in, the contracts, the image, the expectations. There are a lot of things we can't say, at least not yet. A lot of truths that need time, protection, alignment, courage. That's why this right now exists the way it does, as a kind of half confession, half prayer. I can't stand in front of cameras and announce this is everything. But I can stand in front of you, even if it's through words like this, and say, this is real. This is mine. This is yours if you want it. I know there will be people who say this is all in my head, that I am misreading you, that what I call love is just dependency, trauma, comfort, familiarity. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am romanticizing something that is better left unnamed. But that's the thing about feelings. They don't come with a label printed on them. They don't arrive with a manual that says, this is safe or this is dangerous. They just come and then you have to decide what to do with them. I have tried doing nothing. I have tried bearing them. I have tried outrunning them. None of that worked. They keep resurfacing, stronger, clearer, more insistent. They show up in the melody lines that come to me late at night. They show up in the lyrics I write but never release. They show up in the way my hand almost reaches for you in public before my brain pulls it back. They show up in my dreams where there are no cameras, no fans, no contracts, no consequences, just you and me laughing, talking, holding on to each other like the world outside doesn't exist. Some people will say that's childish, that it's fantasy. Maybe it is. But Even fantasies come from somewhere. They grow from seeds planted in real moments, real feelings. And the seed at the center of all of this is simple. When I strip away the fame, the fear, the expectations, the noise, there is one thing left that doesn't move, doesn't crack, doesn't change. I want you in my life in a way that is honest. Honest might not mean public. Honest might not mean labeled. Honest might not mean easy. Honest might simply mean this. I don't want to keep pretending that what I feel is less than it is. Not with you. Not with myself. So where does that leave us? Maybe nowhere new yet. At least not on the outside. We'll still stand on stage together. We'll still joke in front of cameras. We'll still argue about stupid things and then apologize with food or hugs or both. We'll still be us in the eyes of everyone else. Close, chaotic, confusing. But on the inside, something has shifted. I have said the thing I never thought I'd say out loud. I can't ignore what I feel for you. I can't keep acting like this is just a phase, just a storyline, just something fans projected onto us. This is mine. This is real. This is the truth I wake up to and go to sleep with. And now I place it gently in your hands. Not as a demand, not as a trap, not as a responsibility you didn't ask for, but as a gift, fragile and terrifying and sacred. Do with it what you need to. Hold it, examine it, question it, put it down if you must. Pick it up again if your heart tells you to. Just don't lie to yourself about what you feel the way I did for so long. Don't tell yourself it's nothing if your body says otherwise. Don't call it coincidence if your soul keeps circling back to the same person, the same connection, the same safe place. Whatever your truth is, I am ready to hear it, ready to honor it, ready to let it shape where we go from here. If that path keeps us exactly where we are, I will walk it with you. If it asks us to step into something new, I will try to be brave enough to take that step with you.